Looking at positive externalities now, and same specification objectives, but we're looking at it from the benefits, external benefits side. So key definitions here: private benefits are benefits directly accruing or being gained by those taking a particular action, the producer, the consumer. External benefits are those benefits that accrue or occur as a consequence of an activity, an economic activity, producing a good or a service, and they occur to the third party, who are people who are not involved in the decision making. So they're not the consumer, they're not the producer. And the social benefits are the total benefits of particular action. So it's the private benefits plus external benefits. And here's my lame diagram again, but it's just showing that these two added together are the social benefits. So let's go through the diagram. Again, very similar to what we did with negative externalities. I'm just going to label these S1, D1, Q1, P1. So P1 and Q1 are going to represent my actual equilibrium, and P2, Q2 are going to represent my socially optimal equilibrium. So it's a positive externality in production that we're looking at here. So we know there's going to be two supply curves. And what we're going to have is that there are going to be external benefits that the producer is not fully taking into account. So we're going to find that supply should be further to the right if they did take into account these full external benefits. And this is really what's occurring, what's causing positive externalities to occur, both within production and consumption. It's external benefits. EB, very, very important that we recognize that. So what we've got is price down here and quantity here. So this would be the ideal. Okay, so let's take us through this step by step, because you wouldn't just have to produce a diagram in an exam, you'd have to be able to explain it. So producers don't take into account the full benefits of their activities. So supply is at S1 rather than S2. The price is actually higher than it should be. So we see there's less incentive for consumers to consume it or purchase it, because it's when the price is higher that rationing effect kicks in with consumers. And the equilibrium quantity is lower than it should be. We can see that there. Actual quantity is lower than it should be. And so there's a misallocation of resources. It's, allocatively inefficient. Too few scarce resources are being allocated to production in this case. So just get a different colour. So we should be here and we're actually here. And if we want to shed this in as well, so we can do the deadweight loss, we go to our actual equilibrium, which is here, and we look up, we look down, we look for that other curve, and here it is. And we're going to find that we've got a triangle pointing the other way this time. With the negative externalities, the pointy side was pointing kind of inwards. With the positive externalities, it's going to be pointing outwards, and it's really representing that production is being underproduced, undersupplied at the moment. This vertical distance between this point and this point is representing that external benefit. Now, positive externalities in production are hard to come by in terms of examples, because firms, if you think about it, obviously they want to capture all of those benefits that they're producing, so they go to great lengths to capture it. But this is one that I came up with. So imagine that there is a company and they do up houses. I think it's called in America flipping houses. I love the program Flipping Boston, actually. It's a really good one. If you watch it, I think it's on Lifetime or something like that, but it's good. Anyway, they do up houses, they sell them on, they make profit. You know how the story goes. And I've got a picture here. This isn't of Boston, this is a British house, but this one here is the before. Obviously, this is the after. One on the left, scary. On the right, looks nice, looks like a nice place to live. So they're going to get the benefit of doing it up and getting the profit. But what actually might happen is that it increases the value of the other houses on the street, because often if there is a bit of a shabby house, it might bring down the value. People might be a bit worried about crime and spotters and rats and just kind of general kind of nuisance and visual blight as well. Whereas I think this house next door is really going to gain from this business. producing right next door and doing up the house. So that's the best example I can come up with, positive externalities in production. It's much more common to get, whoops, seen my problem there, much more common to get positive externalities in consumption. So it's consumption. So what we're going to get, I'm just going to change my colour to a darker colour. What we're going to get is we're going to get two demand curves. I'm just going to set this up again. Q1, P1. Okay, so if consumers took into account the full benefits of activity, demand would be way bigger than it actually is. So it would be at D2, and this would be Q2 there and P2 here. So if I take you through the steps, consumers don't take into account the full benefits of their activities because there's external benefits, they can't feel them, so they're not going to take them into account when they're making their decisions. So the price is actually lower than it should be, so there's less incentive for producers to supply. You know, they're only going to produce the amount that there's demand for, and demand is here rather than here. So the equilibrium quantity, I'm going to change my colour so it's a bit clearer. The equilibrium quantity is lower than it should be, and there's a misallocation of resources, allocatively inefficient, and all of those types of things. And if we want to illustrate it, we go to our actual equilibrium, we look up, we look down. In this case, it's up, it's above. We draw a line. That vertical distance there, that represents the external benefit. And then if you want to, you can shade in that little triangle there. That's the deadweight loss or the welfare loss. And that's the monetary representation of the loss to the market, the loss of allocative efficiency, the loss of the external benefit in the market. And here is, this picture kind of goes through me. I'm not scared of injections at all, but it kind of, when I see this picture, I kind of feel it. But inoculations, vaccinations, great for you as a person, but also stops the spreading of diseases as well. So it has an external benefit for other people. So yeah, it might hurt you when you go for it. You might, know you've got to go and get a vaccination. You know it's the best thing for you, but you might be more willing to go and get a vaccination, or willing to pay a much higher price if you could actually feel the benefit of, meaning that you don't pass on nasty diseases to other people as well. So that should be all of positive and negative externalities done in consumption and production.